So for those of you that follow Spain on a Fork, you know what this channel is about, grabbing the simplest ingredients and creating a delicious dish. However, the one thing that we like here is making desserts, so today we're gonna finally make one. But let me tell you, we're not making any typical dessert, we're making the amazing Spanish chocolate rice cake. Now this is not your typical chocolate cake, we're not gonna be using any flour, no oil, no butter, yet it's gonna have the most incredible textures and flavors, folks. We're talking very easy to make, the most basic ingredients, and the best part, zero baking skills required. This video is sponsored by Tienda.com. You know La Tienda is an online superstore focusing on selling all things Spain for your home and kitchen, and they've been around since 1996. And like I always tell you, they have the best selection of Spanish ingredients, like the classic Spanish queso manchego, the famous jamón ibérico and jamón serrano, the beautiful canned seafood from Spain, Marcona almonds, olives, and all the spices you need to make your favorite Spanish dishes, among so many other great ingredients. And also let me tell you, they have a beautiful selection of Spanish cookware, like authentic Spanish paella pans that range in size from 2 servings all the way up to 50 servings, and they even offer classic grilling systems. That way you can always perfectly cook your paella, folks. Visit Tienda.com, let them know Albert from Spain on a Fork sent you there, and make sure to use coupon code ONAFORK during checkout, and you're gonna get 10% off your order. Let's begin by adding in 5 cups of milk into a fry pan, which is 1200 milliliters. You can also use a stock pot here if you prefer. And as for the milk that I'm using low-fat milk, but you can also use full-fat, non-fat, or even plant-based milk. Then we'll add in 4 lemon peels, making sure to scrape off any of the white pith as it gives a bitter flavor, and heat it with a medium heat. While the milk is heating up and infusing with the lemon peels, let's start measuring out our rice. For this recipe, I'm using Spanish bomba rice, which is the one that's used to make paella. However, you can use whatever rice you like, but let me tell you, by using this variety is what gives this chocolate cake that incredible texture. I'm gonna measure out 1 cup, which is about 200 grams. Once the milk comes to a light boil, I'm going to add in the 1 cup of rice, and let me tell you, you don't have to rinse the rice here. If you do, it's going to wash out all the starch and it's going to lose its beautiful texture. And you don't have to mix this continuously, but do get in there every 30 seconds or so. That way the rice evenly cooks and you don't get that film of milk on top. About 10 minutes after adding the rice into the pan, and you can see that the milk has slightly reduced, I'm going to remove the lemon peels from the pan and discard them for the rest of the recipe. Then we'll add in 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, which is 150 grams, 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder, which is 75 grams, the one that I'm using is unsweetened, and half a teaspoon of cinnamon powder, which is 1.5 grams. Then we'll lower the fire to a low-medium heat, and we'll give it a mix until everything's well mixed together. And once again, once everything is well mixed, you don't have to mix this continuously, but do remember to get in there every 30 seconds or so. That way all the rice evenly cooks. After a total cooking time of 25 minutes on the rice, that's 10 minutes on a medium heat and 15 minutes on a low-medium heat, and we've ended up with a beautiful creamy texture. That rice should be perfectly cooked through, and you know, you can always tell when you have the correct texture. You just run your spoon through the mixture, and if you can see the bottom of the pan, it is ready to go. For the next step, I'm going to remove the pan from the heat, and we'll leave our mixture to sit here at room temperature. That way it can cool off. In the meantime, I'm going to grab 2 eggs, crack them into a bowl, and we'll whisk the eggs together until they're well mixed. Now the eggs that I'm using for this recipe are cage-free organic eggs, but you can use whatever eggs you like. But like I always tell you, the higher the quality of the ingredients, the better the overall flavor of the recipe. Once the rice mixture has cooled off, I'm going to add in the whisked eggs into the pan, and you want to make sure that the rice mixture is not too hot, otherwise it's going to start cooking the eggs. And we'll mix it together until everything's well mixed. Then I'm going to grab a round baking pan. The size of this one is 8 inches in diameter, which is about 20 centimeters. And it's the kind of baking pan that you can detach the top part. That way once the cake is cooked, you can easily remove it from the baking pan. But let me tell you, you can just use a standard round baking pan. I'm going to spray it with a little nonstick spray. And we'll add the rice mixture into the baking pan. And make sure that the mixture is in a single flat layer. And we'll add the baking pan into a preheated oven, bake only option. That's just the bottom heat, 200 degrees Celsius, which is about 390 degrees Fahrenheit. After about 25 minutes, this cake should be perfectly cooked through. I'm going to remove it from the oven and let it sit at room temperature. That way it can slightly cool off. Of course, every oven heats differently, so it might take you 20 minutes or even up to 30 minutes. Once the cake has slightly cooled off, it's been about 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to remove it from the baking pan. And we'll sprinkle it with some powdered sugar, which adds a beautiful presentation and another layer of flavor. Check it out, our Spanish chocolate rice cake is done. This is known here in Spain as un pastel de arroz con chocolate. Such a beautiful presentation, the most basic ingredients, and promises to be one of the best chocolate cakes ever. No flour, no oil, no butter, making it naturally gluten-free. Let's give it a try and see how it turned out. Once again, folks, pastel de arroz con chocolate. Here we go. Take a bite. Seriously, that is so good. It's kind of weird. It's like rice pudding meets a chocolate cake for the best dessert ever. So easy to make. Give this a try at home and I promise it's going to blow you away, and truly the perfect chocolate cake for any occasion. Really quick before I go, shout out to a couple of my patrons, Kent Anderson, Grace Suarez, Amy Martinez, Nancy T, and David Anthony. Again, guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. Leave me a comment below, and as always, don't forget to share this video with your family and friends. That way our Spain on a Fork community can continue to grow. Till the next time, hasta luego.